Have you ever stopped to think that your body might be asking for help, and you didn't even realize it? What if I told you that there are 7 silent signs of prediabetes, which may indicate that you are about to develop type 2 diabetes, and most people just ignore it? Well, that's not an exaggeration. Recent studies have shown that these symptoms can appear long before the official diagnosis. And if they are recognized in time, they can prevent you from embarking on the difficult journey of living with a chronic illness. And the worst thing is that, most of the time, these signs are confused with normal, everyday things. Accumulated tiredness, a little more thirsty than usual, one hungry out of turn, one view that appears blurry, one strange tingling in your feet or hands, small discomforts that we ignore, trying to continue with the routine. But the truth is that the body always warns you. We are the ones who haven't learned to listen. And why is this so worrying? Because the prediabetes is a silent, but completely reversible phase. It is the exact moment where there is still time to act, change course, rebalance the blood glucose levels, retrieve insulin sensitivity, and avoid serious complications. But if these warnings are left aside, they evolve. And when you realize the diagnosis has already changed to type 2 diabetes, and then the treatment becomes lifelong. In this video, I will show you what are these 7 signs, what they really mean, and why you need to pay attention now. So, if you've been feeling something different in your body, if you have a family history of diabetes or want to prevent it, stay with me until the end. Because what I'm going to show you here could completely change the way you take care of your health, and maybe even prevent you from becoming a statistician. You don't need to have extreme symptoms to be at risk. And to show you how serious this is, look at this data. According to the American Diabetes Association, more than 96 million adults are currently living with prediabetes in the United States alone. And the scariest thing? About 90% of these people don't know who have the problem. That's right. They are living normally, going to work, taking care of their family, and thinking that everything is under control. While the body is trying to warn that glucose is getting out of balance, that the insulin resistance has already begun, and that the type 2 diabetes is closer than ever. In Brazil, the numbers are also worrying. The Ministry of Health estimates that 1 in 5 Brazilian adults may have prediabetes, a number that tends to grow every year, driven mainly by 3 factors: poor diet, sedentary lifestyle, and constant stress. And all of this gets even worse when there is family history of diabetes, obesity, or hypertension. But do you know what stands out most about this data? It's just that almost always, the signs were there. The body gave evidence. But because they are mild or tolerable symptoms, no one suspects them. And that's where the danger lies. When the diagnosis arrives, the pancreas is already suffering, blood levels fasting blood glucose are already altered, and the chance to develop vascular, renal, and ocular complications increases dramatically. Therefore, when we talk about prediabetes, we are not just talking about a technical term. We are talking about a critical phase, which requires immediate attention and action. And that is exactly why understanding these 7 signs revealed by the most recent studies. It can be the difference between living healthy or living with limitations. Now pay attention, because in the next block, I will show you how these changes manifest themselves in everyday life, and why you need to observe your body with different eyes. Now think with me. How many times have you felt more tired than usual, and simply attributed it to the rush of the week? Or did you wake up with that strange thirst, spent the day eating more than you should, and thought it was just anxiety or lack of focus? The truth is that we learn to ignore our bodies. He learned to live with mild symptoms as if they were part of his routine. But what if I told you that these little discomforts could actually be big warnings from your body trying to protect you from type 2 diabetes? You don't need to be in the hospital or with severe symptoms to already be on the path to a chronic illness. The prediabetes, it is sneaky, silent, and precisely for that reason, dangerous. He gives signs, small, almost imperceptible. One inexplicable tiredness, one hungry out of turn, one wanting to drink water all the time, or a more frequent urination. But all of this seems too harmless to sound like a real warning. And that's exactly where most people go wrong. Maybe you are going through this right now, feeling like there is something strange but you can't explain it. Or maybe you didn't even stop to observe. But this video is here for that, to open your eyes. Because believe me, there's still time. Time to act, to change habits, to adjust your diet, to understand your levels of blood sugar, to control the insulin naturally. It's not about living in fear, it's about living with awareness. And that's why, in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you what are the 7 most common signs of prediabetes which, according to recent studies, are ignored by a large part of the population. You will understand how they appear, why they happen, and what can be done now to prevent progression to type 2. So stay with me, because now we are going to start connecting the dots. And the first step is to understand exactly what these symptoms are. Because when we know what to look for, everything changes. The truth is that the prediabetes does not arrive knocking on the door with a glaring symptom. It settles in slowly, silently, taking advantage of our distraction. But little by little, the body starts to send signals. And when you know how to recognize these signs, you gain the power to act before the type 2 diabetes become reality. Now pay close attention, because the 7 symptoms that I will reveal to you here, they are the most common in people who were in the pre-diabetes phase, and because they did not notice or understand what they were feeling, they let the condition evolve towards a definitive diagnosis. The first is the constant fatigue, that feeling of tiredness that persists even after a good night's sleep. Then, we have the excessive thirst and others frequent urination, which are direct responses of the body trying to eliminate excess glucose in the blood. Furthermore, many people feel exaggerated hunger, especially for foods rich in carbohydrates and sugar, and even so, you notice changes in weight. No clear explanation, gaining or losing weight rapidly. Other important signs involve neurological and circulatory symptoms, such as tingling in hands and feet, a blurred vision, and a slower healing of simple wounds. These symptoms may seem isolated, but when they appear together, they are a real cry from the body saying, something is wrong with your glucose levels. These are the signs that science has pointed out as the most frequent in people with insulin resistance, altered blood glucose levels, and early-stage prediabetes. So, now that you know what to look for, it becomes much easier to notice if something is out of the ordinary in your body. And in the next block, I will delve deeper into the first symptoms on the list, so you can understand once and for all how each of them acts from the inside. If this video has helped you see what no one explained to you before, do the following. Click the like button and subscribe to the channel here. Because when this information reaches more people, we can avoid a lot of suffering that could have been prevented. Information saves lives, so do your part and subscribe to the channel and leave a like, so that you can understand once and for all how each of them acts from the inside. Let's start with the 2 most common symptoms and at the same time most ignored by those in the phase of prediabetes. A constant fatigue and others excessive thirst accompanied by frequent urination. Fatigue in prediabetes. It's not the normal tiredness of a hard day. She is different. It's that feeling that your body is always without energy, even when you sleep well. You wake up feeling heaviness, and throughout the day it gets worse. You try to compensate with more coffee, try to cheer yourself up with food, but nothing helps. This happens because your body has too much glucose in the blood, but cells cannot absorb this energy due to insulin resistance. In other words, you eat, but the energy doesn't reach where it should. Result? Lack of constant disposition. And excessive thirst and others, frequent urination, are direct symptoms of imbalance in glucose levels. When glucose exceeds normal limits, the body tries to expel this excess through urine. This forces the kidneys to work harder, filtering the blood all the time. And as you urinate more, your body demands more water. This is why people in a state of prediabetes feel unusually thirsty, even without physical exertion or heat. And it's common to need to get up at dawn more than once to go to the bathroom, which also impacts sleep and makes fatigue even worse the next day. These two signs together are extremely important. When they appear at the same time, they show that your body is struggling to maintain balance, but he won't be able to do this for long without your help. Therefore, observing these patterns is the first step in stopping the silent advance of type 2 diabetes. If these symptoms are part of your routine and you thought it was just stress or rush, comment below, "Now I understand my body." And if there's one thing that confuses a lot of people during prediabetes, it's appetite. And that's exactly where the next two signs come in: excessive hunger and weight changes without clear explanation. These symptoms, when they appear together, are one of the biggest signs that the body is losing control over the body. Glucose metabolism, and this needs to be taken seriously. Let's start with hunger. In prediabetes, even when a person eats, they continue to feel the need to eat more. And the most curious thing, the desire for foods rich in sugar and refined carbohydrates increases. This happens because insulin, which should open the door of cells to receive glucose as energy, begins to fail. And then, even though the blood is full of sugar, the body understands that it is out of fuel. Result? He asks you for more food, especially fast and energetic. It's a dangerous cycle. The more glucose in the blood, the hungrier the brain feels. Already the weight changes function as a kind of reflection of this imbalance. Some people gain weight quickly, especially in the abdominal region, due to the accumulation of glucose that is not being used correctly. Others, on the contrary, lose weight quickly and unexpectedly. This is because the body, unable to use glucose, begins to break down fat and even muscle as an alternative source of energy. Both situations are worrying and indicate that the metabolic system is working in an unregulated manner. And what makes everything even more complicated is that many look at these signs and think it's just a phase. I'm eating too much because I'm anxious. I think I lost weight because I've been sleeping poorly. But deep down, the body is giving a clear message. Glucose is out of whack and needs to be controlled now. When you understand this process, everything changes. You begin to realize that these changes are not random. They have a cause. And when we recognize the cause, we gain the power to act. And that is exactly what you will understand in the next signs. And now we come to the three signs that scare the most, but which, even so, still go unnoticed by many people. The tingling in extremities, a blurred vision, and others slow healing. These three symptoms indicate that the blood glucose level, it is already causing deeper physical effects, affecting nerves, eyes, and blood vessels. And when this happens, it is because the body has been suffering for some time. The tingling, especially in the feet and hands, is a classic sign that nerves are being damaged. This happens because excess glucose, constantly circulating through the blood, damages nerve endings. First comes numbness, then that pins and needles sensation, and in some cases even loss of sensitivity. This is called peripheral neuropathy, and if left unchecked, it can lead to serious complications, such as non-healing wounds, or even serious infections. Speaking of wounds, the slow healing is another very important symptom. When sugar is too high, the blood becomes thicker, making circulation difficult, especially in the extremities. This impairs the delivery of oxygen and nutrients to tissues, which delays the entire regeneration process. A simple cut can take weeks to close, and that's not just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. It can open doors to infections that further complicate the situation. And last, but not least alarming, the blurred vision. Many people think it's fatigue, screen use, or just a change in the prescription of their glasses. But when glucose levels rise, it directly affects the fluids in the eyes and changes the way the crystalline lens, the eye's natural lens, works. The result is a confused vision which comes and goes, and which can be a harbinger of serious problems such as diabetic retinopathy. These three signs, when they appear together or even separately, indicate that the body is already in a state of advanced alert. And the worst part, these are symptoms that many people only associate with other causes, missing the most precious time of all, the time for prevention. In the next block, you will understand why recognizing these signs in time can be what separates a life with freedom from a life full of limitations. After everything you've seen so far, it's clear that the prediabetes, it is not silent by chance. He gives signs. It shows. The body speaks, but in low, almost whispered language, and if you're not paying attention, these alerts pass as if they were just another detail of your day. But now you know that constant fatigue, it's not normal. The excessive thirst, that urge to urinate several times a day, the uncontrolled hunger that appears out of nowhere. All of this has a reason. These are responses from your body trying to deal with an increasingly intense imbalance in blood sugar levels. And when these symptoms are added to seemingly unconnected things, like unexplained weight loss or gain, the tingling in extremities, a vision that blurs out of nowhere, or that simple wound that takes too long to heal, the truth is difficult to ignore. There is something happening inside you, something that can no longer be left for later. What differentiates someone who manages prediabetes from someone who is caught off guard by type 2 diabetes diagnosis? It's not luck. It's attention. It's attitude. It's information. Because the right time to act is sooner, when the pancreas can still respond, when insulin can still be regulated with adjustments in diet, with an active routine, with stress control, not when the symptoms worsened and the complications began to limit his quality of life. And that's exactly why this video was made, to make you aware, to show that there is still time, that you can take back control of your health before this path becomes much more difficult. And now that you understand how the signals connect, how they appear, and what they mean, the choice is in your hands. Because ignoring it can be costly, but seeing it now can completely change the course of your life. If this made sense to you, don't stop here. The next video is already waiting for you on the screen. Click and stay with me. You deserve to understand everything your body is trying to tell you.